Previously on the Ron Van Dam Show.
Excuse me. And if I'm having a shitty day, I'll make sure you do as well. No urine test, nothing. They're getting into something they have no idea, contorted into a donut.
And now, today's episode of the Ron Van Dam Show.
On the air everywhere, this is New England Broadcasting.
Welcome to the Ron Van Dam Show. Hold on tight, things can get a bit weird, if you like that sort of thing.
Oh, God.
Whatever.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. It's the Ron Van Dam Show.
Oh, boy.
Sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, whatever your liquid libation may be in the morning, and join us as we take a look at the world around us. As much as it's a pleasure to be with you, the pleasure is actually all yours. And now, here's your host, Ron Van Dam.
Thank you very much, Julie. Welcome to the program. How are you today? Good. Nice to hear it. Good. Send me a letter. Let me know how you're doing. Whew. Gosh. You know what I'm sick of? Christmas in July. What's up with that? Who came up with that idea? Christmas is in December. You know, as far as our celebration is concerned, somebody with some brilliant marketing campaign idea said, let's do Christmas in July. Are you on drugs? Why? What is your point? I can see in the winter doing the summer in December because everybody's sick of the cold weather in the northern part of the country here when that happens. So I can understand you thinking of beach balls and people playing in the sand and frolicking. I love to frolic. Whenever I have a chance, I frolic. I frolic on the side. I get that. But why would somebody in the middle of the summer sit back and say, Christmas, I love Christmas. What's wrong with you? What is the problem with this humanity thing? They got all these little humans running all over the globe. That's the problem with the earth. There's too many little humans running around. God. Look, this is going to sound horrible, although compared to what Trump does, it sounds perfectly normal. But here's what should happen, in my estimation, and, you may not like what I'm going to say. I believe that people should be limited to having 2 children. In other words, replace yourself. It's like when you're driving your car and your window shield cracks, you call somebody and they replace your windshield. That's pretty much the way childbirth should be. You replace yourself ahead of time. You have a husband and a wife, or whatever 2-partner combination you come up with, a sheep and a goat, whatever the case may be, and they replace themselves in the future. For when they die, they've been replaced by the children. That's it. After 2, you're just adding to the problems. Do you understand that? And again, people who have 3 kids, I don't know, are you creating a spare just in case something happens to the first 2? What are you doing? Why are you doing more than replacing yourself? Well, I love having children. I think it's fantastic. I'm good at it. You're good at it? What does that mean? What does that mean you're good at it? What? You're good at it? You had nothing to do one night. You said to the partner, let's go make a kid. That's like, I can do that. I mean, I can't do it, but I can participate in that exercise. Seriously, I mean, but you can't have laws that tell people what to do, how to live their lives. Although Trump tries to. But no, it's a free country. It's a free thing, you know. I think at one point, to control population, various countries where control was exercised said, no, you can't have a lot of kids because we can't feed these people. What are you doing? What can't you go read a book? Can't you go somewhere and, build a barbecue pit or something? Do you have to keep having children? Find something to do with your time. Why don't you binge watch some television series you haven't seen yet that people are talking about? Do something. But stop having all these children. Costs money to have these little things. May be free to make, but expensive to maintain. There's diapers, underpants, college, clothing, health bills. They're very expensive little you have to feed the little suckers every once in a while. That's important. I think it's 3 meals a day is pretty much recommended. There's a lot of stuff involved in having these little things running around your house. We have to get a bigger house. We have 8 kids. Well, whose fault is that? They sell concrete mix at the store, down at the Home Depot or the Lowe's. Get a trowel and let's get to work, man. Plug that sucker up. What are you doing? I don't know, whatever. I have no idea. I think it's a religious thing. At one point, you couldn't have sex with somebody and use any type of prophylactic thing. I mean, if you had sex, then you had a child. So if you have 8 children, it means you had sex 8 times. What does that mean? Why am I even talking about this? How about that question? Why did you bring this up? Did you bring this subject up? Stop it. Stop bringing these things up. It's embarrassing. You're embarrassing me. Cut it out. Oh! I had a very interesting trip earlier this week. I went to Poland. No, not the country Poland, to the town called Poland. In Maine, there's a town called Poland, Maine. And like other towns in Maine, there aren't many of them. There are not too many towns in Maine, by the way. I think Maine's one of the biggest states, and yet I think 3 people live in it. It's a very, very strange state. Nice people. Apparently no dentists, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so I go up to Poland, Maine. And in Poland, Maine, there's a resort called the Poland Springs Resort, aptly named. So I went up there with my significant woman. My significant woman had always wanted to see a moose. She loves animals, loves them, loves animals, loves them. As soon as you show her a picture of an animal, that's her response, continually. So she's never seen a moose before, and where we live, there are no mooses, the plural of moose, at all. So she was determined to see one. So we booked a room at the Poland Springs Resort, which happens to be less than, I'd say half a mile from Poland Springs, the place that you can't get to from here. Well, you can. There are roads. So we go to the Poland Springs Resort. Not a nice place. It's a beautiful golf course and stuff like that. But the rooms themselves, not so much. Not so much. If somebody in the room next to you sneezes, it wakes you up. It's very thin walls. Not a high class place. But the closest resort to an animal park that featured a number of mooses. So we go up there. Lovely, lovely place. Every mile on any road in Maine, on every mile you'll see a gun shop. And that kind of freaks me out because I live in Massachusetts where guns are illegal. You can't even buy fireworks here. You're not even allowed to set them off. In Maine, go for it. So I'm driving along a couple of main roads in Maine, and there's gun shops on the roads. And it's very, very scary. One of the gun shops actually had a sign out front saying, "We sell AR-15s, assault rifles." And why? Why would you sell assault rifles in Maine? Who's going to assault you? Nobody lives there. It's you and a couple of animals. And last time I looked, animals walking around Maine are not armed. It's not like you're having a picnic and all of a sudden a couple of bears come in and eat your face off. It doesn't really happen like that. Why you would need an assault rifle at all, I don't know. It scared the hell out of me. Anyway, so Poland Springs is just down the road. And there's some things I found out about Poland Springs that freaked me out. I started doing some research because my biggest question about Poland Springs water is, how do you have that much water? Poland Springs is the largest water company, certainly in the United States. It's owned by Nestle, by the way, the chocolate people. And I don't mean that in a disparaging racial sense. It's the people that make the chocolate Nestle's, you know. So anyway, there you have it. So I'm wondering, how's this possible? How do you bottle so much water out of one spring? It's got to run out at some point. So I go online onto the Google machine, and I find this out, that Poland Springs ran out of water over 50 years ago, which makes sense. Be a hell of a large spring. every household in the United States drinks Poland Springs water, but it comes out of this little spring with a babbling brook, and we take the gallon plastic container, we fill it with the spring water, and we do it 20 billion times. You got to run out of water eventually. So I start looking on the Google machine, and I find out that the Poland Spring is totally drained. It's dry. It's like this girl I knew in high school. She's been totally dried out by now. She overused her reservoir, so to speak, so many times. She is just total dry bedrock. That's an analogy that makes sense to me. So where's the water coming from? Apparently, there's groundwater everywhere. And what Poland Springs does is they drill into the ground and they just they take the groundwater and they fill up the containers. So it's not spring water, it's groundwater. Poland Springs, the Nestle company, say, well, that's still a definition of a spring water. Anything comes from the ground is a spring. And everybody else says, no, that's not true. A spring is a spring, groundwater is groundwater. It should be called Poland groundwater. But it's not. On the container, there's a picture of Poland Spring. There's a babbling brook with water flowing over rocks. Well, that's not what you're getting in your bottle. They drill into the ground with big pipes and they suck it up into your gallon container. It's not spring water. Sorry. I dig a little bit deeper. I find out that Poland Springs has settled lawsuits with almost every year for various reasons. One is it's not spring water, and people are saying, hey, if I knew that it wasn't spring water, I'd just drink out of the tap, so you kind of manipulated me, you kind of did false advertising. So there's these lawsuits. Poland Springs settles all these lawsuits for like tens of millions of dollars. But then what the hell's going on? Here's the bottom line. Nothing is what it seems, and that's very, very sad. Nothing is what it seems to be. You think something is some way, you market it in that fashion, and you find out it's not true. I've been swindled all these years. Here was the most remarkable part of my trip, as if you cared. Make believe you care about this, please, because it works that way. If you don't care about what I'm talking about, this whole thing doesn't work, so let's make believe you care. In Maine, you can drive for miles and miles and miles and miles and see nothing but gun shops. And you have to say to yourself, as a civilized human being, where do these people shop? Where do these people eat? There's like no restaurants. There's no places to shop. What are they? All you can buy in Maine is assault rifles. How do you even eat? So we drive for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles, and we come across a supermarket called Hannaford's. It's the only supermarket in Maine that I saw, the only supermarket chain. And it's not a big supermarket in Maine. Nothing's really that big, except for the state of Maine itself. Other than that, nothing. I walk into the supermarket, and something flashes into my head, and I say to myself, I'm gonna try to find the aisle where they have the bottled water. Poland Springs water must be like 2 cents. They bottle the thing like 5 miles away from here. So it must be like zero. It must be like giving them away. So I go down the aisle where they have the bottled water, and there it is, the bottles of the plastic gallon containers of Poland Spring water, as we have all over the country. Now, in the area here where I live, we pay $1 per gallon container of Poland Springs water. Recently, within the past 6 months, the price has gone up to $1.19. Still, it's still got the word dollar in it, so I figure that's still cheap. So I'm thinking, I'm going to pick up like 20 gallons of spring water up here. It must be like 10 cents a gallon. It's got to be. It's like, you just take a straw and like, it's got to be right there. So I go down the aisle and I see the Poland Springs water, and I'm looking for the little tag that has the price on it, and I find it, and my jaw drops to the floor. Why, Ron? Is the Poland Springs water only like 10 cents, like you said? No, it's not. Poland Springs water in Poland, Maine, is $1.59. $1.59? Are you kidding me? Why? How's that possible? I live like hundreds and hundreds of miles away from Poland Spring. I'm paying $1, but when you're at Poland Spring, like straw-sucking distance from it, it's $1.59? For what? Postage and handling? What are you talking about? What? Maine is one of the poorest states in the country, and they're spending $1.59, 50% more than I pay, and the damn thing's down the street. It's like, what? You've got to be kidding me. I was so blown away. I felt like calling the store manager over and saying, excuse me, could you explain why it's $1.59 and the damn spring place is just down the street from you? But I didn't do that because I'm a lousy mandated reporter. I should have done it, but I didn't. I guess I could still call them, but I can't figure that out. But that is absolutely true. It's been 20 minutes and I told you this story, and apparently you're not moved by this. The other thing that drove me crazy, there's an animal park in Maine, and in the animal park, it's quite a beautiful zoo kind of place, really nice. And they have the animals that are indigenous, spell that word, to the people in Maine. They have a black bear, they have a fish hatchery, They have deer. They have moose. All kinds of birds. Red fox, not the actor. He's dead. Not the comedian, but an actual red fox. Coyote. They have animals there, and it's fascinating. Very nicely done. Very nicely done. I saw a squirrel. It had nothing to do with the zoo. I just saw a squirrel. They have that there too. Chipmunks, they have those things too. Again, not in a cage. They just let them run free, apparently, all over the state, all over the country. They had a beaver. I'm not doing a joke. Don't worry about it. So we're looking at these, and again, my girl wants to see a moose. This is the big deal. You know, this is why we're up there. We want to see a moose, and we do. And a fantastically huge, beautiful creature. You hit one of those things with your car, the moose goes, "What are you doing? You gave me a scratch." "Hey, I totaled your car. Sorry. Look where you're going next time, bud." There's a building there, and on the building it says does and bucks, and I thought, wow, this is great. And my girl goes, whoa, I love deer. I love the movie Bambi. Every time I see Bambi or see a deer, I just start crying. I say, that's funny. That's the way I feel when I get my bills in the mail. Anyway, so this gigantic building, and it says does and bucks, and we thought, well, this is great. So we get some of this feed stuff. You can feed the deer. It's 25 cents, and you fill your hand up with this food, and the animals love it. So we get some of that. We walk toward the building, and we get there, and we look up, and there are two doors. One says does, and one says bucks. And we realized we're looking at the restrooms. First question was what I do with all this food in my hand that I was going to feed the deer. It didn't work out. So she goes into the does. I go into the bucks. Believe me, it took me a couple of seconds to figure out which door I should go through, which leads me to the insanity of how in this country we name restrooms to be cutesy. It's very, very strange. There was a place in New York, there's a true story, it was a fast food place, and the restrooms were named like, on the men's room, it doesn't say men's room, it says hot dog. And then you look across the hall, and there's the ladies' room, and they call it buns, hot dogs and buns. And I thought, that's filthy. That's it's original, it's funny, it's filthy. I mean, what? You have to think for a second. It's like going to a hardware store, and they name the restrooms nuts and bolts. It's hard to figure out which is which. In one sense, it could be this. In another sense, it could be that. I'm a guy. Am I nuts? Or am I bolts? I'm not sure. Either one kind of works. I get confused. I especially get confused with the silhouette thing. They don't even put the words on the door. They have a silhouette picture of a guy and a girl. The guy is a silhouette of the bust of a guy, I guess, and it looks like there's a little top hat and a monocle. I think. I can't tell. It's a silhouette. And the other restroom is the bust of a similar silhouette without the hat or the monocle. And it's just, look, when I have to go to the bathroom, it's usually because I have to go pretty badly, pretty quickly. And I don't need to waste time trying to figure out which door I should be going in. This doesn't become a cutesy game. My body is about to release all over the place, and I got to get in this room rather quickly. Don't make it a scavenger hunt. I just put men and women, boys, girls, whatever the case may be, and let's get on with our lives. This is not a place to fool around and make it a game. These are restrooms. That's what we do. Man. This is what I'm talking about the human race. Just really strange people. All right. Our guest is going to join us momentarily. If you suffer from pain, and a lot of people do, it just sounds like a commercial, but it's not. With medical technology, you don't have to suffer at all anymore. Everything's cool. Everything's good. We can take care of things. We can make you brand new. We can replace your knees. We can replace your shoulder. We can replace your hips. I just wish we could replace your face, because it isn't working out very well for anybody. But beyond that, it's amazing. So we're going to talk to a doctor who claims you don't have to live in this kind of pain, and a lot of people think you kind of do. But you don't, just like a ferret.
As a special surprise, thank you. Everyone listening to the Ron Van Dam Show today will receive a free photograph of Ron holding a ferret. Yeah, we don't know why he's holding a ferret either. But he's the boss. So there's the ferret. This is the Ron Van Dam Show on New England Broadcasting.
Good morning, Ron.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ron.
Good morning, everybody. Dr. Surkis Bedikian joins us, and Bob Crawford. The doctor is an orthopedic surgeon, Mid-America Orthopedics. And, well, thanks for being with us here. Okay, we're talking about feeling moody. Does that have to do with your joints? I assume that if you have joint problems, that actually does affect you.
Yes, it does. I mean, osteoarthritis is one of the most common causes of hip and knee pain, and it kind of affects your mood entirely. It affects everything from your day-to-day activities as well as your home life.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, a survey was taken recently, I understand.
Yes, a survey commissioned by Depew Synthes looked at women who have joint pain, ages 45 to 65, and they showed that this joint pain can affect their personal relationships as well. Going a little bit deeper into it, 2 out of 3 respondents showed they've avoided social situations. 9 out of 10 say it impacts their mood. They feel frustrated, limited, and exhausted.
Now, are we talking about the kind of joint pain that comes on with age and gets progressively more interesting, or is this a joint pain that might be chronic from early days?
Well, realistically, it could be any type of joint pain that just doesn't get better with time or any type of treatment. It can be the chronic pain that comes from osteoarthritis itself.
Yeah. The joint pain that most of us experience when we start turning, let's say 60, 65, something like that, that's fairly common. In other words, should we be alarmed where we start feeling this joint pain?
Well, any type of joint pain that limits us is alarming. I mean, we don't like to be in pain. We're in pain, we're limited, both emotionally and physically.
But there's some comfort in being told that, well, this is nothing that's, this is part of the process of aging. That's somewhat comforting. It doesn't make the pain go away, but it makes me feel like, okay, I don't have a real specific problem here.
Sure.
I know in my experience, I was in my 50s
Yes.
when I was impacted with osteoarthritis in both of my knees.
Okay.
And I kept saying, I feel so old, and I needed to just tough it out because I was in my 50s. But I made decisions based on what my knees could handle,
Yeah.
and a lot of times it was very emotionally draining because it was always, no, I can't participate in what I want to do in life because of the knees that I had. So, my relationships really suffered, even my relationship with my husband, in intimacy, or my relationships with my family.
Oh.
I said no so many times that they started excluding me just because they knew Mom would sit this one out. And so that got isolating, isolated. You felt like you were sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah.
I was in a parking lot ready to go into a store and realized I can't even handle walking into the store. And I was living on pain medicine as it was, but I still couldn't walk in to the store, so I just started feeling very isolated. But I finally went to an orthopedic surgeon and talked about my problem, and we decided that I needed a double knee replacement surgery, and he said, "You'll get your life back," and I did. I got my life back. I feel like I've turned back time, actually, and that I'm not as old as I used to feel.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, a lot of people of that age and a bit older get knee replacement surgery. I mean, there was a time, doctor, am I correct, where that was like a big deal. Now it's kind of normal, I guess.
Well, with advancing technology, now we have better joint replacements, both hip and knee. You know, back in the day when joint replacements were first coming about, they weren't for the young people. You know, they were for grandmas and grandpas who were getting older, just to be able to, you know, live without pain as you got older. Now, like Barb, you have patients who are in their 50s, some in their 40s, who have been laborers, very active in sports, getting joint replacements. So as the technology has gotten better, the surgery has evolved, and people can now return back to an active lifestyle at a much younger age.
Doctor, let me ask you really quickly, and Barb, maybe you know this. If you have a knee replacement, is it usually the case that somewhere down the line you're going to have the other one replaced as well?
So what I tend to tell my patients is that the younger you are, the longevity comes into question. So what research shows is 10, 15, 20 years. In my experience, I've seen a few patients, 20, 25 years, since they've had their joint replacement, because ideally, this type of man-made implant is going to wear with time. So you have to be able to catch any potential problems sooner than later before it becomes a much larger problem.
Yeah, it's interesting. Barb, the double knee replacement... Go on. No, go on. What were you going to say? Well, the double knee replacement is very difficult. I mean, usually with, you know, single knee, it's okay. I can still move around a little bit here, but double knee, that's rough.
I couldn't pick which knee to pick, so, the doctor very confidently said, go for it. I said, I think you'll be happy with the choice, and I was. I really was. I went through the therapy, and yes, it was tough, but it was all positive. It wasn't that kind of pain where you felt like you were going downhill. You really felt like you were building and getting better and better, and that's why I really like to share the message with other women, because it does change your life, and it does get you that quality back. You're not waiting years and years to become old enough to get a knee replacement. You're living your life that you want to live in the now and not waiting for it.
Doctor, the methods of knee replacement seem to change almost year by year. The actual apparatus, the replacement material itself, the way that it is handled, that's constant. The medical technology on that is constantly being updated, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's not very huge variations from prior implants from generations, but there's enough because of the research that's being done. I mean, implant manufacturers are looking at their research, they're looking at their knee replacements and hip replacements, and doing the research to come out and put out and see if they can make any changes to improve on the prior generation. So I mean, as technology does get better, we see new generations of implants. We see patients do better. Recovery is quicker. These are all important things as we evolve.
It is amazing. I have quite a few friends that went through it, and family members. And there was a time where you stay in bed for a week, and it's going to be months before you're active again. And now it's like, get out of the hospital the next day or the day after and get right into therapy. And it's like, wow, how's that possible? But it's amazing.
Well, put into context, back in the 80s when they were doing joint replacements, people were, like you said, in bed for a week. They would be in the hospital for a whole week. Now we're discharging patients the same day or even the next morning. It's a huge evolution.
It's amazing. So the message is, you don't have to live with pain. Seek the medical advice.
It's the best thing I've ever done.
No, I mean, you literally get your life back. There's no question about it. You can even walk upstairs at a point, which is like, I'm sure that was a problem at a point.
Yes. Yes, and when you experience that feeling, you think, will I ever get that back? And yeah, I'm here to say you
Good.
do. You get it back, and you get your
Great.
balance back.
Great.
And you have no pain, so you can think about other things and have a
Good
life.
stuff. Good stuff. How do we get more information about this?
Please visit the website timetohitplay.com, and that'll provide you more information and resources about this topic.
Great. As usual, when information like this comes forth, thank you so much, Barb, for your story, and Doctor for letting people know that there are ways around this and they're not as involved, and go seek conversation about it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. And there you have it. Done. In front of your eyes, the miracle of another program. I'll be back the next weekday that rolls around, and we'll do this all over again, only it'll be a different guest, and I'll talk about something different. And hopefully you will have changed your undergarments, because I'm serious. How long can you wear the same pair? Not smelling great, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now. So, until then, why do we even bother? Have yourselves a wonderful day or evening. I wish you peace.